While it may not have been the most successful railroad, the Penn Central, or more formally the Penn Central Transportation Company, certainly left an impact on the American railroad industry. It led to the creation of Conrail, Amtrak, and eventually the dissolving of the ICC and the signing of the Staggers Act in 1990, which allowed for railroad mega-mergers to dominate the country. For us rail fans, though, the PC paint scheme has been wiped from modern railroads, as the last PC paint unit was repainted by Conrail in the 1980s. However, if you look hard enough, remnants of Penn Central can still be found almost anywhere where the tracks ran, and in this video, I will show you all of the ashes of Penn Central that I've been lucky enough to see. We start on Penn Central Rails in Elkhart, Indiana. The main line nearby is now owned by Norfolk Southern. In Elkhart is the National New York Central Museum, home to a few pieces of former PC equipment. The first is EAA number 4085, currently sporting the New York Central Lightning Stripe scheme. It was originally built for New York Central and served under Penn Central from its formation in 1968 until 1976, when the railroad was acquired by Conrail. 2 years later, it was sold to New Jersey Transit. Today it's preserved in Elkhart. Also on the property is GG1 4882, still wearing the now faded Penn Central black. Built for PRR, it served through the whole PC era before being patched by Conrail, acquired by Amtrak, and then sold to New Jersey Transit. They donated it to the New York Central Museum in 1992. Over on the main line, NS local freight B23 comes through, with the sole engine being NS GP38-2 5650, an XPC unit. 5650 was built for Penn Central in January 1971 as number 7881. It served until the creation of Conrail through them and was later acquired by NS, who gave it its current number. Across the tracks is our last item of interest in Elkhart, the depot. This station was built by the Lakeshore and Michigan Southern Railway in 1900 and was later acquired by New York Central. After the Penn Central merger, it served their passenger trains from 1968 to 1971 when Amtrak took over, and they continue to serve the station to this day, with 2 trains, the Capital Limited and the Lakeshore Limited, stopping at the station. Next, we travel to Union, Illinois to visit the Illinois Railway Museum. In Barn 9, we find PRR GG1 number 4927. Built for PRR, this engine worked for PC for the railroad's whole existence, only being sold to Amtrak in 1976 by Conrail. It was donated to the IRM by them in 1981. It was then restored to its original PRR livery. Out in the uncharted area of the IRM is Conrail E33 number 4601, looking very decrepit. This locomotive has a fascinating history, being built for the Virginian Railroad, later sold to New Haven, and then absorbed into Penn Central when they took in the railroad. It even made it into the Conrail livery before being retired and sent to the IRM. They're currently fundraising for a cosmetic restoration of this unit back to its New Haven McGinnis appearance. Now we find ourselves in Dubois, Pennsylvania at the Doolittle Station Rail Restaurant. On display is transfer caboose number 18086 in the fashionable Penn Central jade green paint job. Built for the New York Central and later acquired by Penn Central, this N6A caboose would have been used on trains that were transferring between different railroads, hence the transfer caboose name. The N6A was the first production class of transfer caboose on the NYC, making them the oldest of all the transfers PC had. This particular one survived into the Conrail days and was picked up by Doolittle in the 90s. It's still on display at the station. It's a hot summer day and we're far away from Penn Central home rails in Scranton, Pennsylvania. The rails here are ex-Lackawanna. A pair of consecutively numbered Delaware-Lackawanna alcos are working the yard today. In the lead is C636 number 3642, the last one in the world. 3642 was built as Penn Central 6342 only 4 months after the merger in April 1968. It served through the whole PC era, was acquired by Conrail in 1976, patched, and later repainted in 1977. Sometime after, it was sold to the Delta Bulk Terminal Railroad in California, before finally being bought by the Delaware-Lackawanna Railroad in their alco collection spree in the 90s. This locomotive is the only Penn Central 6-axle alco still in service. We head back to familiar Penn Central trackage in Olmsted Falls, Ohio. The depot here ended passenger service in 1960, 8 years before PC's creation. On display next to it, however, is PRR N8 caboose 478062. Built for PRR, this caboose served under the Penn Central as their number 23293 for PC's whole existence, and even briefly served under Conrail. Today, it's displayed next to the busy XPC mainline, which still has quite a few rarities on it, as shown by the Whiteface-9 in this slash-up. Distancing ourselves from Norfolk Southern, we find ourselves at the National Museum of Transportation in St. Louis. Here, a few scattered pieces of PC history can be found. First is Amtrak GG1 number 4916, sadly crammed in the back of the main shed. This engine was built with the rest of the GG1s by Penn, and then was acquired and repainted by PC, and then became Amtrak in 1971. Despite all that, the loco is still wearing its Penn Central applied black paint, although the Amtrak patches are clearly visible. Also here is New York Central S2 1113, another electric engine. Built by NYC, these older electrics were already obsolete by the PC days, and most didn't survive into Conrail, including this one, which is already in a deadline for most of the PC era. A sister engine to this one is on display at the IRM, and that one is actually painted in its Penn Central livery. Unfortunately, it was in the "you can't go in here" sheds when I was at the IRM. We round out our look at Penn Central relics in Leaport, Indiana. In the center of the town is the old NYC depot, wearing the PC jade green on parts of it. This depot was built by the NYC in 1877 and was abandoned before the PC days. However, instead of abandoning it, they converted it into a MAU outpost, and it still serves that purpose today under NS. Next to it is the busy Chicago line, where I do most of my rail fanning. Over on the MAU sidings, we see a long string of gondolas, filled by railroad ties. NS uses only the oldest equipment in MAU service, and as a result, some of these gondolas are still wearing their Penn Central reporting marks, with a splash of jade green visible beneath them. Shifting our attention to the main line, NS Intermodal Train 27G is rapidly approaching. In the lead is SD70 Ace number 1073, Norfolk Southern's Penn Central Heritage Unit, painted in PC's black livery. This locomotive has served as NS's tribute to PC since it was built in 2012, and is slated to be repainted soon to clean up some of the noticeable paint peeling. And that concludes our look at the ashes of the Penn Central. While PC is often not fondly remembered by rail fans, one can only hope that the engine preservation lasts as long as possible, and that maybe some of the revenue equipment will join them in the future. Until then, try to capture these ex-PC units while they're still in service. Remember, catch them while you can.